My name is Mike Secor and welcome to the Motorcyclist Journey. This will, I hope, be a series of videos about the journeys many of us have traveled and how motorcycles play a part in those journeys. This is an idea I've had for some time, and I decided now, since I can't ride for a while, why not get started on a new project. My motorcycle journey began on a pull-string Briggs & Stratton powered mini bike like many of us. Now, 50 years later, many motorcycles later, that journey continues. And motorcycles have been a big part of that. I plan to talk more about my history with motorcycles, first real motorcycle, first street bike, how those bikes over the years have played a part in my journey, my mental health journey, my physical journey, my growth journey in the community that I've discovered along the way with that. But beyond that, I want to talk to you guys. And I changed that plan a little bit yesterday with the passing of Muriel Farrington. If you are active in the MOA and attended any of the major rallies or events over the years, chances are you are one of those that were blessed to have met her and share stories of many journeys over the lifetime. Her smile and presence will be missed come June in Lebanon, Tennessee. Learning about Muriel and others is one of the reasons I started planning this video series and why I started thinking about this in the first place. So hopefully we all learned a little bit from her, and if we didn't learn something, had some smiles and some time with her over the years. She will truly be missed. And again, while I want to talk more about my journey, more importantly, I want to share the stories and the journeys of others in our motorcycle family that have the folks that I've learned about, the stories I've heard, and the people I've heard them from along the way. Obviously, I'm not riding at the moment, evidenced by the fact that I was not in attendance at the Tour of Texas rally this weekend or the MOA open house grand opening board meeting this past weekend. Oh, and may have something to do with this big blue cast. I really miss being with those who attended both these events. I know I would have had to choose between hanging out with the MOA board or riding the Texas Hill Country with TourTech and Austin Moto Adventures. Luckily, I didn't have to make that choice, and we'll never know. About the cast, some of you have seen my posts. But for those who have not, as of today, I am 2 weeks removed from having some major repairs and services done on the right wrist. You got to work in some motorcycle language there, I guess. And I am scheduled to have a full reconstruction of the left wrist in December. That's going to keep me off the bike until spring. I'll be giving some updates on the recovery journey here and the progress and updates where I am with the goal of riding to the BMW MOA rally in June. I volunteered to be the registration chair again this year, so I will be seeing a lot of you there if you're part of the BMW MOA. And I really don't want to drive or fly to Lebanon, Tennessee. I'd much rather take the bike, so that's the goal. We'll see how that works out. But stories about me would get really boring real fast and nobody would want to watch, and I'd be making these videos for a couple of people in my family who would swear they were watching them but really weren't. So I want to include conversations with others about the journeys they have taken or are currently on related to motorcycles, or how motorcycles are part of those journeys. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to not only meet many people and share some of my stories with them, especially those related to the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, which as we get closer to May, you're going to get tired of hearing from me about, but conversations that they have had and the things that they have done. I've had more than one person tell me how motorcycles and motorcycling communities have saved their lives. That's a strong statement, that getting into motorcycling and the people in the motorcycling communities have saved lives. We all too often hear about motorcycles are dangerous. There's a flip side to that, and I think it's important that we talk about it. I will never share who some of those conversations were with. If you are one of those, don't be surprised if you get a call from me asking for an interview and asking you to share. You never know who you might help simply by sharing. But, and this is a very important but, only when you are at the point in your journey when you are ready to share. We will talk about that. There are also those who over the last year and a half or so have gone through some physical recoveries. Stories of learning to use a knee scooter for a long period of time, and then having the opportunity to jump on a bike after the BMW MOA rally in Redmond and ride to Alaska as the first long trip. There are those who, like me, have had to learn how to type one-handed over time. And I'll be calling you guys too. We need to, not that it's the lighter side of riding, but we need some fun stories to talk about and share. And I really want to do those interviews not as a, the typical split screen Zoom meeting interviews, although they probably will be done in Zoom. I want to do them where we're sharing a cigar and the interview is, the length of time it takes to get through the cigar, or sharing a cocktail or something like that, and find some interesting ways to do those interviews that don't make them look like a typical YouTube, Zoom, or Teams meeting split screen. We'll have to work on that, but we'll come up with something. If you've read anything by our late friend Jack Reep, you know motorcycles have long memories, and they never lie to us, except when they do, whisper in our ear that you can clear that rock. I think Chad Werner lost an oil pan and cracked a case on one of those whispers in his ears. Or go ahead, take that curve at 90. What could go wrong? These are true, but most of the time our bikes can be some of our best sounding boards. How many of us have conversations with ourselves inside our helmet? If you want to talk about your boss and complain about your day, your bike will listen. If you need to have some deep conversations with yourself, hopefully you will listen. I've done some of my best praying and conversations with God inside a motorcycle helmet. So we'll talk about some of that. The other part of motorcycling for me, I've often called my bikes, and some of you have heard me say this, they're my escape pods. I have 4 daughters. You need an escape pod. One of my favorite examples was a Father's Day a long, long time ago, when my oldest 2 daughters were old enough to have plans for the day for Dad. So my father and I decided, well, we'll get up, I'll sneak out, run over to his place, and about dawn, about sunrise, we'll take off on the bikes, hit our favorite breakfast spot, and just about an hour away, and get back. So 3 hours, we're home before 10. I have the rest of the day to spend with my kiddos and what they had. Well, we left before sunrise. That part we got right. We stopped for breakfast, and then we extended a little, and we got back to my house about an hour after sunset. 3 things that we came out of that day. For Christmas that year, Dad and I got pocket watches that hooked on our belts. Remember, this is before GPSs, cell phones, and clocks were standard issue on, standard items on motorcycles. So we had these pocket watches that hooked on our belts so that we could, the goal was that we would look down and see what time it was. Not sure they ever really worked well. Number 2, my 2 oldest daughters will still remind us that we stood them up on Father's Day and that they had plans for us. And number 3, and most importantly, now that my dad doesn't ride anymore, it will always be one of my fondest Father's Day memories for him and I ever. Definitely worth the 30 years of harassment we've taken since. Riding is where I clear my mind, talk to God, work on me. I've been involved with the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, as I said earlier, for many years. And I give back and I support men's mental health where I can, whether it's the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, Rockers and Mods, speaking to men's groups. We as men have a habit of not talking, not asking for help, not putting our needs and things out there. And one of the goals of these videos is to expand on that within the motorcycling community. So take what the Distinguished Gentleman's Rides does in raising money and funds and programs for men's prostate cancer and men's mental health, and bring that idea of sharing in men's mental health to the motorcycling community and through the motorcycling community. Don't know how it will be received or how it will work, but we will see how it goes. I'll be calling and looking for interviews. Those of you that are on my list of people to call probably know who you are. Please don't block my number. Put some thought into sharing what you would be willing to share, what you wouldn't be willing to share, and take my call or don't block my email when I send it, and let's get together and see what we can do with this. I want to have some fun with it. I don't want it to be all about, doom and gloom journeys and deep discussions. I want to have some fun as well, and talk about some of the goofy things we do and the things we've learned over time. I can't have a video series where I've mentioned Jack Reapy by name and have it all be serious. That just would not fly. So until we get together again, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up, and I'll see you guys down the road. Thank you.